Welcome back. You know, the holidays are a joyous time for many, but maybe not so much for some. Have you noticed maybe mom, dad, your grandfather, your grandmother may be suffering or showing signs of depression? With me now is Melanie Perry. She is the Director of the Memory Care Support Services at American Senior Communities. Melanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is so appropriate, a good time of year to talk about this because maybe you haven't seen mom or dad in a while, had that little family reunion, and you notice they seem just a little bit off.
Truly.
Tell me a little bit about depression and how common it is.
Sure. It's one of the things that we like to make clear to individuals is just because somebody is in their elder years, it doesn't mean depressive symptoms are a normal part of the aging process. They are not. So we actually have a minority of our elders who do experience depression. However, when they do, we need to be able to recognize it and help them and act on it immediately for their own well-being, for their own quality of life.
And I would think that it's understandable how someone getting on in years could be suffering from depression. It's not all due to maybe, you know, being slower, not able to do the things, but you think about maybe they've lost a spouse.
Truly.
Maybe they are wondering about, do I have enough money for retirement? How am I doing? Things like that. Those are true challenges. So what are some of the signs we should look for?
Sure. If we have an elder that we're suspecting may be experiencing some depression due to the losses that you just mentioned, or even just being less social and less engaged because the winter months make us stay inside a little bit more, we need to look for symptoms like somebody who might be frequently tearful, and maybe they haven't been tearful before. Maybe they're expressing some statements of helplessness or hopelessness or even excessive guilt about things in their lives. If their eating patterns are changing, if their sleeping patterns are changing, if they're no longer engaging in hobbies or activities that they've enjoyed in the past, and worst of all, if they're expressing any expressions of what we call suicidality, either active or passive. A passive statement would be, oh, I wish God would just come and take me. I just wish I could be done, would be a passive expression, or an active expression would be making plans and saying, you know, I think I'm just going to check out at this point in time, and you know, obviously that's a cry for help at that moment.
So Melanie, in your position with American Senior Communities, what are some of the courses of action? I know, I'm sure it depends on the individual, but are there medications that are involved sometimes? Is there some type of therapy? Tell me about that.
So if we have somebody who is experiencing more of the mild symptoms, and particularly we need to be aware that individuals who are having cognitive challenges such as Alzheimer's or dementia are particularly prone due to some of the brain changes that are going on. So we feel very prepared and well adept at helping elders with these symptoms. So some of the things that we will try first are holistic interventions for individuals. Exercise is huge. Exercise releases endorphins, it raises our serotonin levels, or those feel-good chemicals in the brain to help us feel a little bit better. Engaging in socialization, meaningful activities, and they need to be meaningful, not just busy. Activities that keep us engaged in life and bring purpose to our lives. Truly, another symptom or another intervention that we will use is something called full spectrum lights, and these are actually boxes that provide a full spectrum light exposure, which very closely mimics the UV exposure, or I mean the UV aspects of the sun, and it helps to promote a more positive mood. So we'll try those more holistic aspects initially. Then if somebody doesn't respond to that, or their symptoms are more severe, what we will see is then it's time to seek help from a professional. Perhaps counseling might be helpful, but sometimes we do need to utilize medications, which can be very, very effective for many people who are experiencing depressive symptoms.
Melanie, you're a great resource.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you.
So for those who are watching now, as I said, maybe they've seen some of these red flags that you discussed. Okay, first course of action. So should they call you, get a professional involved? How can American Senior Communities help today, tomorrow, next week?
Sure. By all means, if they want to contact us at asccare.com, we are certainly happy to provide resources and help them through that. Other resources, they may want to utilize their personal physician. They may want to look at the Area Agency on Aging to help with resources. Certainly the mental health resources in the area. And then finally, if it is somebody who's living with Alzheimer's or dementia, the Alzheimer's Association could be a great resource. So there are a myriad of resources that are out there and available. We are certainly happy at American Senior Communities to be a part of that resource as well.
Okay, Melanie, for lack of a better term, depression though is, or am I wrong? Maybe you'll say, not so much. It's reversible. I mean, you can take a course of action. It's reversible. We can see a happy mom or dad next year, right? Truly.
The key is we need to recognize it and provide the proper treatment. But for most people, with medications, with some of the interventions that I just mentioned, it is extremely reversible. We can return that person to that point of what we refer to as psychosocial equilibrium, which is a very positive mood state, and help them be smiling and happy happy once again.
Melanie, I'm going to ask you, so for maybe mom or dad too are ready for that transition into a senior facility. Is there a certain American senior community that you would say they specialize in memory care?
Well, we have several in the area that specialize in memory care. So Forest Hill Commons, which is right here in Louisville, has a memory care, what we call our Augustus Cottages. So we have an Augustus Cottage at Forest Hills Commons here in Louisville, right across the river, at Riverview Village, and up the road a little bit in Scottsburg at Lake Point Village. We have these communities that specialize in the immediate area in the care of elders who are living with dementia.
So when we talk about dementia and memory, those can be closely associated with what we're talking about, depression,
Truly,
right?
yes.
Because I think there's a lot of times when you know you're a little tick off. And everything, you're still there and you're still operating, but just and that's depressing, knowing that I'm going in the wrong direction. But as you said, something positive can be done.
Truly, truly. If it's recognized and treated, many positive things can be done. The thing that we need to realize, if it is an individual living with dementia, those symptoms may be a little bit more different than those that I mentioned. It may be more of a behavioral expression type of an aspect, meaning you may see more moments of upset. You may see me becoming a little bit more short-tempered, if you will. You may see me starting to act in ways that you have not seen me act recently. So any changes that we're seeing that tend to reflect more of a negative slant or a negative mood state need to be considered as a potential sign of a potential depression that might be going on.
I tell you what, Melanie, if I get depressed, I'm calling you.
Please do.
You're
We'll be
a
happy
great
to
resource.
help out. Well, thank you.
You're fantastic. Again, American Senior Communities. Let's put the information up on the screen. There they are. You can check them out online today. Melanie, if they want to get a hold of you specifically, how would they do that?
Sure. I can be reached at Melanie Perry at asccare.com.
Didn't know I was going to do that to you, did you?
I didn't, but I'm glad I had it handy.
Thank you so much. Melanie Perry,
My
once
pleasure.
again, with American Senior Communities.